Hey everybody, welcome back to the next part in my small series discussing integrating the Morningstar MC6Mkii Midi controller in with our Line 6 HX Stomp mostly to add some more functionality to it. We could also use this with our Helix rack or Helix floor. Quite flexible, and I've done a bunch of videos already about integrating certain features, but I had a specific question come up. I guess it was maybe last week. Somebody on my channel left me a comment asking if they could recreate a button on the MC6 that would act like button 3 on the HX Stomp, which means as tap tempo, and then as if we press and long hold it, it's going to trigger the tuner page. And the answer, in short, is yes. So I thought I would shoot a quick video. It shouldn't take very long at all. Please go back and look at my first couple of videos to sort of see how we can set the HX Stomp and the MC6 up to talk to each other and work together, and some of the other functions and some of the stuff I will be saying in this video will make more sense. I don't want to have to go through all of that again. Rather, I'm just going to assume that you already are at the point of understanding what we're going to talk about here today. So, there's going to be three things I'm going to do. I figure I might as well just go slightly more in depth. I'll show you how to set up just the tap tempo on its own switch, just the tuner on its own switch, and then a combination of the two if we long hold or just do the tap tempo. So let's come over to our Morningstar MIDI editor. And so anybody who's used this knows I have my Morningstar down here in my Helix, not my Helix, sorry, my HX Stomp at my feet on my pedal board. And the Morningstar MC6 is attached to the computer via USB, therefore I can control it and program it from the handy Morningstar MIDI editor over here. So what I've done is I've made a bank 6. My bank name is just tap/tuner to give you a couple examples here. Now, on my preset C, so my button C here, which I've pressed, I've decided to just have this button access the tuner page, okay? So first things we want to do, let's go over to our HX Stomp manual, because what we need to know is what the MIDI CC number, control change number, is going to be for these functions we want to access, right? So we see here that the tap tempo is going to be MIDI CC number 64, and it's going to be triggered with a value anywhere, a MIDI value anywhere from 64 to 127. So we'll keep that in mind. The tuner screen being turned on and off will be triggered by MIDI CC number 68 and a MIDI value anywhere from 0 to 127. Okay, so 64 for tap tempo, 68 for tuner screen on off. So let's deal with the tuner screen. That's the numbers we're going to have to remember again. MIDI CC number 68 and a value of 0 to 127. So we come over here, and what I've done, like I said, I've named my bank name tap/tuner. My short name is tuner, so that's what's going to show up on my screen. And this is how simple it is. I simply go to message 1, I add a press action, the type is going to be control change, I hit edit, I enter my CC number we found out from the manual, right, which is 68, and I just chose a value of 127. I could have put anywhere from 0 to 127 there and it would have worked. We're on MIDI channel 1 because that's what we've set up previously to talk to our HX Stomp. We hit close, we hit save preset, okay? After I explain these three setups, I will go down and show you how it's actually functioning as I use, with a picture of the pedal board as I use the two together, all right? So that's as simple as that gets, all right? So let's go to bank 6. I'm gonna press my B button, all right? And this one we see, again, it's still bank name tap/tuner, but this time I put the short name tap. So it's gonna show me on the screen of my MC6, as we will see very shortly, that it's going to be my button to control tap tempo, right? So with this one, again, very simple, right? We hit a press action on message 1, we do a control change, and we go into edit, we choose control change 64. Now if you remember, right, tap tempo is control change 64, and any MIDI number from 64 to 127. So I've chosen 127. I could have chosen 64, 65, so it would have done the same thing, okay? I close that, I save that preset, and now that button should control my tap tempo. But so it's really that simple, folks, if you want to get that set up, okay? Now, the real question that came to me was, how can I mimic that foot switch 3 on the HX Stomp, where if I press and hold it, it accesses the tuner, and if I tap it, okay, it's going to be tap tempo all on one button, therefore not using up an extra button. Well, that's pretty simple as well. So I've set that up on my A button here. So this, I put the short name tap/tune. And what I did is I went with a long press message first, okay? So if we go into our list of actions, we have all these different actions we can choose. No action, press, release, long press, release, release all, double tap, release, long double tap, and long double tap, release. Well, to make it act like foot switch 3 on our HX Stomp, we would want to do a long press, right? So we set that to long press, we set that to control change. Once again, we want that to trigger the tuner. So that's going to be MIDI C68 with a MIDI value of 0 to 127, okay? So quite simply, we access that. I put the CC number 68. I chose the CC value, MIDI number of 127. We're good. But that's not it. We also want this to control our tap tempo. Now, this is where it gets slightly interesting. And the folks at Morningstar, I had mentioned this somewhere in a forum with somebody who was having a similar problem. If you choose a press action here, what ends up happening is when we go to do our long press, all right, what it does is it ends up automatically sending a press message, and it could mess up our tap tempo, okay? I haven't really tested it too much, but I noticed what they mentioned is to use a release instead. I'm guessing, and again, I'm not a complete expert on all of this stuff, but I'm guessing that once we're into the tuner screen, maybe the release won't affect the tap tempo, but try it for yourself. I really, like I said, I haven't had a huge amount of time to really test this out. But either way, I chose to go with the release action so that when we do our tap tempo, the foot coming off the button is what's going to be setting it. But either way, you could try a press if it works for you, that's fine, or release if it works for you, that's fine. We have the choice, right? We chose control change. Again, MIDI CC number 64, and again, just to recap, that's because that's what controls the tap tempo, but we're going to need a MIDI number or value of 64 to 127, and so I chose 127 again, okay? And again, I just save preset on that, okay? That should do it. So let's go back over, or not back down, let's go down to our board and see if these functions are all working the way that they should, and I think we should see that they're going to work fine, okay? Okay, so here we are down at my pedal board. Now I'm going to have to move the camera around. I'm sorry for the shakiness and the movement, but it's the only way I'm going to really know how to get this working. So as you can see here, my button A is set up for tap and tune. So that's going to be the button where I did the long press is going to get the tuner screen on, and just the normal tapping is going to get our tap tempo set. Button B is going to be just for tap tempo, okay? And then button C here is going to be just for turning the tuner on and off. So as I hit this, let me come over here, scroll over, look at our HX Stomp screen here. And if I just come out back to this view here, it'll work better. Let's see here. Works just as expected. Tuner is going on and off as I hit button C, and I hope that's clear with the horrible camera work I have going on here. All right, so now let's just go into our global settings here so we can see our BPM changing. I hope that's clear. So I'm gonna come over here where I have button B set up for tap, right? So if I tap that, the numbers over here should change. So I've gone to my global settings where it shows right? I can get all the way up to 240. Way down into the 60s here, right? I hope that's clear on the screen and in focus, guys. Okay, so that's working as it should. Now, like I said, my final one, or actually I have it on button A here, is the long press to get the tuner screen, and then just the tap tempo. Let's see if the tap tempo is working. Seems to be working just fine for tapping that. Now, if I press and hold that, it goes into my tuner screen. Press and hold again, back out. Press and hold, press and hold. And if you notice, it does stay at the same tempo, so it isn't affecting it with the release as I had it set in my Morningstar patch. So everything seems to be working real well here, guys. There's a little quick shot of the pedal board I'm working on. It's not quite done yet. I'm waiting for a few more things, but it's coming together nicely. All right, so what do you guys think? It seemed to work fine. Very easy setup from our Morningstar MIDI editor. We can do that very quickly once we understand what numbers, CC values and MIDI values we need to be able to control certain parameters. And like I said, you know, a lot of people I think are afraid of looking in the manual for the HX Stomp, and it's gonna be a lot of great information in there that we should probably use because it's as simple as anytime we have a CC number that can control something and it shows us there, we know how to set up our Morningstar MIDI editor very quickly to have our MC6 doing kind of what we want it to do. All right. Hope that helps some of you guys. I know a lot of you folks probably already knew this, but since I've had a number of questions about it, I thought I would just shoot a quick video. And like I said, hopefully somebody gets something out of it. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support as usual. Please share the video, like it if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll be back soon with some more content. Ciao for now.